All right. Good day to all of you guys listening to this thing now. This is still Janelle Barzo for another talk. And this will answer why God is allowing pain or suffering or circumstances to name. Well, this question may not be part of the trending list or the top pick for the week, but knowing the answer or knowing some sort of idea as to why God really is allowing pains, suffering, challenges, circumstances to be with us or to be part of our life is something significant as we continue to live and as we continue to breathe and as we continue to battle in the challenges life is offering us. Now, let us go back to the very core why life in itself starts. Well, basically, there will be sciences and religions and other branches of knowledge who would have to have their stand as to the origin of life. But let us streamline them into life exists at least at the very least of it because there's a reason behind it. So technically, with God allowing life to exist, allowing this life to exist to human creatures is basically in itself reasonable or rational. So in that case, having to have the concept that life is purposive means there is there is something that should be part of it that makes it of meaning. When I say of meaning, it should be something of purpose. It should be something of significance because a thing or two will not basically exist without a purpose in itself. So basically, let's just settle on thinking that life at the very least has to have purpose in itself. Now, when life has to have a purpose, it means the person bringing it or the human flesh bringing it has to have a resemblance of, as we go with a thing taught or told to us biblically, it should be a resemblance of its creator. So the creature has to be the resemblance of the creator. How does that make sense? It makes sense because if you are a creator yourself, or if you are something creator, what product you make are basically a reflection of yourself. It's like biologically when a woman or man comes together or come together, then their offspring will be somebody which is a combination from these two. So it's relative to it. When I will be writing a song or composing something, that composition, that output is basically a reflection of myself. So we could then go into the idea that the creator of life is basically resembling his creation from himself basically. So it's like saying that life in itself having to have purpose is basically a resemblance from its creator. Now, let's connect these dots by providing or by going into the idea that if God if God himself is perfect, if God himself is something who cannot go to sin, if God himself is somebody rather, sorry for the something a moment ago, if God himself is somebody who is able to problem solve at an instance, if God himself is somebody who knows everything, who will know everything perhaps, then how come he allows life in a human person? Or therefore we could say, how come he could allow us human beings to have problems or to experience pains, sufferings, or circumstances? That's gonna be something ironic in that sense. Well, I must say we will be presenting the thing that says God himself is love. And when we say love, that's something big, that's something huge, but we could settle on believing that love is something that is voluntary. So if it's voluntary, it does not go with force. It does not go with pushing or pulling of what. So there's no force in it, on it, or behind it. So basically, when God is love, then there should be no forcing to his something, including his creation, for example. How will that be an answer to it? Well, it will be an answer since God has to create life. Therefore, when God by his nature is love, he could not impose to his creations, for example, something that is behind his commands, or what. He will be bound to letting this life through a human person be voluntary. What? Voluntary in his or her actions, in his or her words, in his or her decisions. So when there is love, there is no forcing. Therefore, that includes allowing the counterpart of good, let's just say it, the bad ones. So that therefore includes allowing the counterpart of good to work in this setup, since he could not distinguish himself. If that's a human person here, this is a human person here, this person could not distinguish a right or wrong if basically there's no presence, or there's no presence of something that will define a wrong or what, in that sense. So basically, as we go into the biblical thing, there are commands, there are laws, there are stated things that does or don'ts that we have to observe. Now, basically, this settles into what we call the Decalogue, or the Ten Commandments, and that's where we see the Ten Commandments. Part of it is do not kill, do not steal, or whatsoever. So these are the commandments. These are basically what makes the definition of good or bad in the Bible. And this will be our roots into living in this earthly or materialistic environment. So what's in there? The thing now is this human person has to have choices of good or bad, since the creator himself is of love. The creator of himself is of love, that he cannot afford, or he could not even impose this person to be forced to be on his side, since he is love, that he could not dictate, that he could not impose, that he could not just force this person to just be with him. He or she, the person that I'm talking, should have the entire voluntary choice or decision. We call it the free will over all the things that are surrounding him or her. So basically, it's not that God allows pain really, but it is more of that God is allowing everything to happen for the purposes of discernment, for the purposes of purpose, for the purposes of checking, in that sense, if where do we go, which side do we go, knowing that we know what is good, what is bad. We know that we are recognized, that the church or the congregations to name are telling to us that these are biblically not good, so these are biblically acceptable, for example, and we then settle to orthodoxy, or to the truths that are acceptable biblically or not. And yes, with our capacities, with the overwhelming capacities of a human being, we also try to fabricate, we also try to create our own norms, but that's another separate story. So basically, if we go back to my thing, I was talking about why God is allowing pain, because these challenges, these things make or break us either. The important thing there is persons or people, the human populace in general, will have a sense of purpose, of meaning, if we assume there's God. We assume there's God, and the presence of a God who is love is of no forcing, so it should be something voluntary. So if you are a human person, blessed with the wisdom, blessed with the talents and gifts or skills to name, you could have all the option to decide over things, because there's free will on it. So if there is love, there is free will, and when there is free will, we will always have to have the choice to do good or bad, or to be with God or to be not with God. So basically, why God allows suffering, pain, or circumstances, because he is love himself, and when he is love himself, he could not impose He could not impose control over us. So there should be something free will. So the free will there is the complete expression of his love, or of his being love. I hope you get something from it, and see you sometime soon. God bless you all.